welcome to the first ever episode of the Football Head Show. I'm your host, Mr. Football Head, and today we're going to talk about quarterbacks and wide receiver duos ranked by certainty and chemistry. It is the Bromance episode. That's right. This is football for your head. We're going to go through each of the 32 NFL teams and talk about which of these duos has the most chemistry, the most bromance. It was so much fun looking into this. I've been working on these rankings for a long time this summer. It was tough because I had to wait until some things were made a little more clear by the NFL, but happy to say some of the flags that I planted earlier in the offseason have come true, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm excited to monitor throughout the season and see how accurate I actually can be based on stats and gut feelings and all the things that it takes to be a true NFL head. If you're here, you're probably a true NFL head too. So let's get into it. How did I come up with these rankings? Well, I only have 1 hour to go through all 32 teams, so we're going to go pretty quickly, but essentially I'm just basing this based on who I think is going to have the most end of season production together as a duo. So the questions kind of, as I was ranking, it was like, how sure of a thing is the quarterback from an execution, reliability, and playtime standpoint? How sure of a thing is the wide receiver to be the one, right? So are they the true one who's going to get the most targets and the most yards by the end of the year with that quarterback, and what's the competition like behind him? And then kind of tiebreakers were around like how prominent is the run game? Do they scheme up the tight end more? And how likely are these other factors, ancillary factors, to detract from the wide receiver throwing game and production? So you can think of these rankings as a helpful tool for when it comes to game time decisions for start sit, like who is the true wide receiver one on the team, who's the alpha, and in terms of drafting as well. So if you're trying to pick a QB2 in a QB flex league or whatever it is where you are looking for that sure thing, maybe you're throwing a little bit of money on who's going to get the tutty in week one. Hopefully this video can help with that. Or you're just a fan and you want to know which duos to look out for. We have some quarterbacks that are going to take leaps this year, and that is for sure. So let's start with the most obvious one. This one everyone knows. There's a reason that between this quarterback and this wide receiver, they are collectively being drafted very, very early on. Number one overall pick this year in most NFL fantasy drafts is Ja'Marr Chase, and the Joe Burrow Ja'Marr Chase bromance is real. They've been playing together since their time at LSU. They got secret handshakes. They hang out outside of football. There is true to form chemistry with these guys, and we all know it. We've all seen it. Ja'Marr Chase, he's a game breaker. He's a difference maker. He can shake and bake you. He can create separation. He can catch inside the numbers and make dudes miss. He can stretch the field. And Joe Burrow, Joey Cool, is cooler than ever, confident. He knows what he's got to do each and every game, and boy, does he execute. And, given everybody stays healthy, we know this is an extremely dominant wide receiver quarterback duo, number one overall in terms of chemistry. Some things working in their favor are the fact that Ja'Marr Chase has a very competent, and in fact, I would say elite wide receiver 2 in T. Higgins behind him on the depth chart, with pieces like Andre Yoshivas as well, ready to take that year 2 leap. And then Chase Brown, who stepped up in a big way last year to give them that dominant run game that helped them to open up the field more. So defenses have to scheme out Chase, Higgins, Burrow, and Chase Brown as well. So it's a lot for defenses to handle. They are a dominant offensive team, and they have a horrible defense. So what's that lead to? It leads to a lot of games where the offense has to dominate, a lot of touchdowns. If you're looking for fantasy production, look no further than the Cincinnati Bengals. Pretty poorly run franchise. We'll talk a lot about these teams as well in terms of their franchise management. Just the way that they handle themselves in terms of contract makes this team a little bit of a headache or a nightmare. And they have this bias toward offense. So they're going to have a very dominant offense. They invested in the pieces. They're not going to invest as much in the defense. So we're going to have a lot of scoring, very high scoring games. They'll be so fun to watch. Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, absolutely number one on the bromance scale. Number 2, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb coming in at number 2 in the bromance scale. So this duo, they've been doing it together for a while now. And look, Dak Prescott absolutely does not have the clutch gene. We know that. But in terms of regular season game execution, reliability, he can do it. He can perform the way you need your franchise quarterback to perform. CeeDee Lamb is a difference maker. He's a field stretcher. He can shake and bake you. He's really somebody that's going to get open and get separation. And Dak Prescott is so blessed this year to also have the addition of George Pickens, so he's got actual options for once. It used to be CeeDee Lamb and a whole bunch of nothing, and now he's got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who's phenomenal. I mean, this guy's got these true Megatron-type catches, but he's not a wide receiver one. The way the Steelers were using Pickens last year was like very frustrating to watch because he didn't have anyone around him or behind him to kind of uplift him and help him to get, that separation and that openness. At the end of the year, it will still be CeeDee Lamb as the most productive wide receiver. Why? Because he is that difference maker. The thing with the Cowboys is no running game, absolutely terribly managed franchise. They just traded away Micah Parsons. But as we know, when a defense is bad, an offense has no choice but to step up and perform and score those touchdowns. I'm pretty sure Mike McCarthy got fired as a head coach because he wasn't prioritizing, he was like, the offense is getting off the field too fast. And I think that kind of franchise life that is being the Dallas Cowboys is like, we just want our offense on the field as much as possible because offense sells tickets. And so that's, they say that with their chest with every single move they make as a franchise, and they've invested a lot in these two pieces. Who knows with the running game? Honestly, Javonte Williams could step in and be much better than anyone is anticipating. Rico Dowdle, sure, why not? We saw them completely overuse Tony Pollard. He was never supposed to be a running back that was getting more than 24 touches. So hopefully they've kind of learned from that and they have this like tandem going. Who knows about what Jaden Blue is going to look like this year? At the end of the day, it's Dak Prescott, it's CeeDee Lamb. They are both sure things. Dak Prescott, for as little clutch gene as he has, he is a sure thing. And obviously, you don't doubt CeeDee Lamb. You just don't. He's going to do it again. He's going to perform again. Number 3. J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson. This is my first hot take. I just think Justin Jefferson is such a sure thing that when you have a quarterback who got to sit a year and really just learn the playbook and, kind of step back and soak things in, even though it was injury, it's like he is basically playing what is his rookie season, but he gets to play it with, I think, the number one wide receiver in the entire league in Justin Jefferson. Here's what we know. We know Justin Jefferson made Sam Darnold look elite. We don't know for sure if Sam Darnold just is elite and did take that step forward and learn from his mistakes, but what we do know is Sam Darnold looked horrible with both the Panthers and the Jets, and like in a way that was like, this is irredeemable. And this time last year, we never would have thought that the Vikings stood any type of a chance to make the playoffs with Sam Darnold. But Justin Jefferson, he's just that guy. He made Sam Darnold look so good. We know that Justin Jefferson made Kirk Cousins look incredible, who then left and went to the Falcons and looked absolutely horrible outside of the one game they played against the Eagles. I happened to be there. Lincoln Financial was devastated with the way that game ended. It's really tough to be around sad Eagles fans. It's tough to be around happy Eagles fans. But when the Falcons marched down the field with Kirk Cousins, the one time he looked clutch, it was just like, okay, there he is. But honestly, Justin Jefferson, I think he is a quarterback maker. He can do it all. He's got the full route sheet all the way. He's like contested catches. He's separation. He's high pointing. He's everything you want in a wide receiver and more. And as long as both of them are healthy through the year, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. The chemistry is there. So even if they don't turn the corner from a production standpoint in Justin Jefferson's first year, we will see the chemistry continue to build, and he just is that good. Now, McCarthy obviously has a lot to prove. I'm liking so far. I mean, it's mid, but it's not horrible what I'm seeing on tape for J.J. McCarthy this year. And look, I mean, in terms of sure things, there's no one behind McCarthy on the depth chart that's going to he's the franchise guy. Like, it would be absolutely mind-blowing if he got benched. And I don't know. I think with the pieces they have, obviously, you have Naylor and now you have Adam Thielen. Okay, that's fine. And with Addison missing a couple games because of a suspension, by the time he comes back, I'm sure it'll be really helpful. Guys get injured. That depth piece is going to be really important. And Addison, I think, proved to be a more than adequate wide receiver too last year. Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones, was almost like, in my head, he was still playing on the Packers for a second. But Aaron Jones obviously getting up there in age. We'll see what Jordan Mason can do. Everyone seems to really believe in him. We're going to need this run game to be established so that they're just not, being able to triple team Justin Jefferson. But, look, he's just been able to prove that he's better than any DB in the entire league. So I don't see why this year would be any different. So this is my number 3. And moving on to the number 4 dynamic duo in this league, Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff has proven that he is a true-to-form franchise quarterback. Honestly, he was showing it in the Rams. It's just that franchise at the time just needed a lot of help. And for him to come over to Detroit and be able to do what he's done with, at first, so little is so impressive. Amon-Ra, one of my favorite Hard Knocks narratives of all time, the fact that he was able to memorize every single person who was drafted before him and kind of have this hit list of players that he's trying to outperform because he just believes in himself that much. And he is that dog. I mean, he's a competitive, dynamic athlete. He's out there, bodying guys, and he can do it all in terms of execution. They have Jameson Williams behind, doing crazy wildcat reverse plays, and he can stretch all the way down the sideline, and Amon-Ra will be between the numbers probably more likely than not, but really he's also quite dynamic. So Amon-Ra, to me, he can even take another step forward. He in a way that CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase already kind of have. I see Amon-Ra as like he could take even another step forward. But I'm really impressed with him. I'm excited to see this duo play together again. I think they are the team to beat in the NFC. Regardless of the moves that the Packers are making. I think if you want to go all the way, you got to beat this team. And we'll see what happens. Their defense got so injured, but if their defense can stay healthy, they'll rack up some W's for sure. And then they have just such a great running game situation. There's going to be a lot of stretching the field. Like, teams are going to have to account for Gibbs. He's so talented. And Montgomery as well, who, maybe he'll lose a step, but didn't seem to matter last year. So, yeah, this team's definitely something to watch out for. This duo, I'm excited. I think they'll have another extremely productive year. It was awesome last year. All right, number 5. Here he is, the man himself, Sam Darnold with Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have a lot to prove in some ways, but also in a lot of ways, they've both already proved it. It's just a matter of can they put it together and actually form the true bromance alliance that I think they can. So I'm planting my flag here. That's why I have them so high on this list. I think Sam Darnold was like, okay, like he legitimately took steps forward last year in a way that it was really, really impressive. And if he can have the elite talent that I saw Jackson Smith and Jigba bring last year to the Seahawks, and I think the franchise spoke for itself when they shipped off DK Metcalf. I think they were like, okay, we have our guy. It could just be a bridge year, but I think that if this duo can get it together with what I see as a very good defense, I think this team sees themselves as in the hunt this year. So we will probably see some very good production. There's no one behind Jackson Smith and Jigba like at all. So his production has to be good. I mean, Ken Walker, can he stay healthy? Who's to say? And then obviously you have Charbonnet as well. So I think Sam Darnold's going to have the opportunity to, have like a stacked box and then air it out. He showed that he can do it last year. He showed he can perform at an elite level. So is Jackson Smith and Jigba as good as Justin Jefferson? Not yet, but I don't know. He could turn a corner this year and show that he's really, a top 5 in the league type wide receiver. I'm excited to see how it works out. All right, coming in at number 6, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. I do see them as a dynamic duo. This Arizona Cardinals duo, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, if they can take, instead of just steps forward, if they can take leaps forward together, I think we're in for a show. Kyler Murray, his biggest downfall is he's so unpredictable. He just doesn't seem to have the consistency that you're looking for in an elite quarterback. But then he'll do these incredible things and scramble around for like a bajillion yards and then air raid the ball. And it's like, oh my God, if he could just have that every play, it's like, wow. But Marvin Harrison Jr. also needs to take steps forward this year. Like, he, I think, was just so used to being the best guy on the turf at all times. He got to the NFL. He realized, oh, I actually have a learning curve here. I don't see this franchise as like top tier, like certainly not to me. Like, I think the Seahawks are a very well run organization. I think the Cardinals have a lot of work to do in terms of their, development of young players. And I think they kind of let Kyler slide by the skin of his teeth for way too long. And he could have taken leaps forward in the past if they pushed him. And I think with Marvin Harrison Jr., they have to push him. Like, he's so used to being so good. So let's see them two put it together. And it's going to be awesome. Like, if their chemistry can get going, I'm going to love watching this offense. Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't really have any true to form competition for targets outside of Trey McBride, and this is not an episode about tight ends. James Conner is aging. We'll see what Trey Benson can do. And I think their defense will be much, much better than last year, which is good. I think if you can get these are speedy dudes, these are speedy playmakers. So if you can get them some rest and I don't know, maybe the defense getting off the field faster is not as much of a good thing, but if you can get them to a place where they're not constantly in a pressure cooker and they're not playing from behind and they can just slow down and slow down with their minds and then use their speedy legs to kind of make things happen, it's going to be really cool to see. So I actually am hopeful. That's why I have them so high on this list. Kyler Murray. Please, Marvin Harrison Jr. perform. I'm putting my stake in you. And Kyler, I find to be one of the biggest steals of the draft, Between him and actually this next duo, which I have at number 7, controversial here, Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson of the New York Jets. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I'm a New England Patriots fan, obviously born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, coming up during the era when Brady, the ultimate underdog, rose to fame out of nowhere. It's hard for me to like the Jets, but I just really like Justin Fields. Garrett Wilson, man, finally my guy has a quarterback that isn't somebody who's so devastating and hard to watch. Because let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers hated this dude. Aaron Rodgers was like, if you're not Devontae Adams or Allen Lazard for some reason, I don't want to throw you the ball. And Garrett Wilson was like, but I'm perfectly good at this sport. And Aaron Rodgers was like, I don't care. I'm too smart for you. Didn't you see me on Celebrity Jeopardy? I won. I'm so smart. Beep boop bop. Do my own research. But Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields played together at the Ohio State. So we're going to get to see them back together as a pair. I think the bromance is there. It's just a matter of Justin Fields. Right, Garrett Wilson, I think he's proven to me that he can do it, even despite against all odds and in a very toxic franchise. Justin Fields is finally having coaches like Aaron Glenn to scheme up for him and let him be the scrambler that he is. He had to start his career as a Bears quarterback. There is nothing more devastating than having to be a Bears quarterback. You couldn't pay me enough. I'd rather be the president, and I don't want to do that at all, than be a Bears quarterback. It's not good what's happening over there in terms of team development. Ben Johnson, we're putting a lot of stake in you. That said, Justin Fields going over to the Steelers and being able to perform at a very high level with very few offensive weapons on the Steelers under Mike Tomlin, and then getting benched for Russell Wilson, which turned out to be a very good coaching decision, but we see Justin Fields now have the opportunity to work in a system that's designed for him with a true to form wide receiver 1, because again, Pickens is a great weapon, but he's not the guy, right? So now we have the guy. The only issue is who's behind Garrett Wilson? Absolutely no one. So Garrett Wilson is pretty much alone. He's going to be stuck with all the DB1s and possibly double teamed. We got to have somebody else step up there in terms of an offensive weapon for this to really work. But I think the bromance is there. Magic will happen. It's just how consistently. Breece Hall's been really open and honest about the fact that he knows he's not the guy for them. He's honestly probably a trade target for some franchises, but if Breece Hall can get on the field and perform at a high level, it's going to help everybody out. Those RPOs are going to be hitting. All right, number 8. Here we go. Omaha. Set. It's Michael Penix and Drake London. Oh my God. There's so much unknown here. I actually had a very hard time putting them so high, but then every time I moved them down, I was like, I have to put them back because there's so much hope. I actually have so much optimism for this pair. Michael Penix Jr., he has to turn a pretty big corner. Another opportunity to take not a step, but a leap. He really only had those last 4 games, but he's no longer a true to form rookie. So he's had the year under his belt of experience. He knows about the NFL, speed and gameplay. Drake London, I believe this is his 4th season, possibly his 3rd, but I've seen really great things and great promise out of him. I'm just not as bought into the Drake London hype as some people seem to be. I don't think he's like a game breaker is my thing, but I think he's really good. He's very solid. And for Michael Penix with all of his scramble ability to have a very, very solid, like above solid wide receiver in Drake London is great. Now, can Kyle Pitts get any talk? Can he actually operate as a wide receiver and pull attention away from Drake London enough to empty out the box? I mean, does it matter if you have Bijan Robinson on your team, right? It does. I think Michael Penix Jr. and Drake London will be number 1 in terms of wide receiver and, quarterback duo here, but I wouldn't be surprised if most receptions goes to Bijan Robinson and most yards goes to Kyle Pitts. But in terms of wide receiver, this is who you got. This is the duo. We'll see. They could surprise us, I think, and win more games. It's just I think a matter of coaching, and I think their scheme is probably going to be a lot of 11 personnel. We're going to see them, I think, feel a lot more like the Ravens this year, and they need their defense to be like infinite times better than they were last year. So I don't know. I have hope. I think Michael Penix can be fun to watch play, and this duo will be very fun to watch play. It's giving very like high T situation. But yeah, we'll see. All right, Bryce Young and Ted McMillan coming at number 9. The Carolina Panthers, another franchise that I think has just a bad history of mismanaging certain things. Bryce Young, though, getting benched last year was probably the best thing that could have happened for this young dude. He has been performing at a high level his entire life. I followed him out of high school, out of college. I mean, he's just always been that guy. And so for him to come into the NFL and struggle, I think was just not what he was expecting. It just takes time. You see the success that players like Mahomes and, anyone who can basically sit a year, Jordan Love, if you can sit a year behind a true to form veteran quarterback and learn, it's just you benefit so much from that. And Bryce Young didn't have that. He had to come in, start from day one. Now, Ted McMillan, I think, is start from day one ready. He's the only rookie in the top 10 and a true to form rookie in terms of wide receiver. So for him, he's huge. His archetype, I think he's like 6'5". He's like a bajillion pounds for a wide receiver, but he's so fast, game-breaking speed. And I don't think that defenses are used to having to scheme for somebody like this, so it's actually an advantage. His archetype is just like a little outdated. It's very Calvin Johnson, very Megatron. But Bryce Young, to me, really turned a corner last year in a big way. All he has to do is like improve his accuracy this year and stay on that same like progress meter, right? Like all he has to do is keep the same stepping in the right direction at that pace, and I think he's got it. Ted McMillan is definitely going to be his number one. They just traded away Adam Thielen and Jalen Coker. He'll be adequate. 2 or 3, and then Xavier Legette. He's going to be fun to watch just because he's also been fun to watch in all those Glorilla videos. He's kind of got this pop culture rise to fame, the way he kind of talks like very extremely like Southern in a way that's highly entertaining for some people. But he's a character basically. So you've got kind of a star-studded wide receiver cast of young dudes who are going to be fun to watch. And then Bryce Young, he already has the leadership qualities. It's just, can he improve his accuracy? Can he execute regularly, right? Because we know with Kyler Murray, he's so unpredictable. It's like annoying to watch. If Bryce Young can just like take that step up and turn the corner, it's going to be fun to watch. All right. Coming in at number 10. What? Yeah, I had to troll Aaron Rodgers by putting this picture of him up here, but Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf of the now Pittsburgh Steelers, completely new duo, 2 new guys on a new team with a great coach and Mike Tomlin. The standard is the standard. We do not care. Aaron Rodgers is old and still so smart and will do the ball security. He'll throw it away when he has to. DK Metcalf, he'll get open. He'll mess guys up. He'll hurdle somebody. He's got the dog in him. It's just a matter of can these two purported and also you can just with the eye test see that they are both hotheads. So can these two hotheads not get at each other's throats? And the triangle to me of Mike Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, and DK Metcalf. I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall in one of those rooms. Holy crap. It's got to be such high tea. And then you add Arthur Smith on top of it. So it's going to be a very run-heavy, like play-action-heavy offense. And that's great. We're really hoping Caleb Johnson can be that guy. I don't think Jalen Warren actually is. I don't know. You kept him around for whatever reason. But I think Arthur Smith is going to establish the run. Oh, and there's DK Metcalf for a dump-off pass. He gets the yak, and it's just over and over again going to be that, I think. But Metcalf can still stretch the field. We've seen him. I mean, he has game-breaking speed for sure. And my question for Metcalf is just like, how much longer can you have such muscle mass on those ligaments and be that fast before like your body just completely breaks down? Dude is huge. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the way he's built never seemed natural to me, but it's like just so impressive watching him play. I'm going to love watching this duo. I actually think as long as they're not so at each other's throats in a way that is negative in terms of their competitiveness, and as long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't completely mess things up with Mike Tomlin, because I'm like, who's going to win that fight? I honestly think it's Mike Tomlin. But, as long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't completely tank this organization, basically, it should be fun to watch. We'll see. All right, so coming in at number 11. So we're in this tier right now with Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers at number 11 from the Baltimore Ravens. It's just scheme. It's just scheme. Yes, Zay Flowers is the true to form wide receiver one, but what does it mean to be a wide receiver one on a team that mostly runs 11 personnel, has a very scramble heavy quarterback, and Lamar Jackson is going to hyper target your tight ends like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely if he can stay healthy, but we've been hearing all offseason about he's going to be a Pro Bowler. So I'm excited for Likely. I really am. I loved watching him play last year. Zay Flowers, he's solid. He's going to execute. He's going to do what you ask him to do. He's just not elite tier wide receiver. But will he end the year as the most targeted, most yards wide receiver on the team? Probably by a landslide, because behind him, what do you got? Rashad Bateman? Okay. He's out there for blocking, let's be honest. And you have Derrick Henry at running back who, life hack for anyone out there in the draft. I think Justice Hill is a really good sleeper pick because they are not going to put extra miles on Derrick Henry. We saw it last year. He's a game breaker, but he's getting up there in age. And every single year we say this could be Derrick Henry's last year of being this elite guy. It wasn't last year. It could be this year. So we'll see what happens there. But Zay Flowers, he's the wide receiver one. He'll stay that way. I mean, I would love to see this dude get more touchdowns this year. It's just when you have Lamar Jackson, you don't have to throw the ball into the end zone. You can do 9 other things to get it there. But he did, Lamar had a great season, in season, regular season. Dude does not have the clutch gene either, and I think Mark Andrews got so much more hate than was needed for him dropping the 2-point conversion against the Bills. Like, Lamar threw 2 horrible interceptions in that game and had such a bad fumble. Like, it's not just on Andrews. Granted, Andrews shouldn't have dropped it, but, maybe his blood sugar was low. Who knows? That said, it's definitely Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. Much love to Andrews. I actually really appreciate your representation in the league. But, I don't know. I just think Lamar Jackson, he has to stop. Whoops-a-daisy, little tiny error here and there. It's because he can't just use his sheer athleticism against teams like the Bills. It's not going to keep working out for him. It obviously doesn't. You can whoops-a-daisy your way out of the games against like the Bengals and the Browns, but even the Steelers, but you can't whoops-a-daisy your way out of games with the Chiefs and the Bills. Zay Flowers, wide receiver one. Okay, there's that bromance. Okay, here's another bromance I wish was higher on the list at number 12, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Guys, the Commanders, horribly run franchise. I mean, complete opposite of the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like, just so frustrating to see a leader, a true-to-form dog on the field like Terry McLaurin, who year after year, through horrible quarterback play, delivered for your franchise. He's a franchise guy. I remember them saying, Scary Terry, and he was like, I don't want to be called Scary Terry because if you listen to him talk, I really recommend going and listening to any of his interviews. He's very inspiring. He said, I want to be known as Captain Terry. Like, he's that guy. He's a captain. He's a leader. He's so inspiring. And he went through hell and back for this franchise, and then they were like, yeah, we're not going to pay you. And I just think that even if Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have like this awesome mind meld together, like in the back of Terry's head, I'm like, why would he put his mind, body, and soul on the line for this franchise if they don't care about him that much? They obviously got the deal done, but they lost like the full preseason together. So I have my fingers crossed that it doesn't impact their play too much together. At the same time, I'm like, look, if I'm Terry McLaurin, I'm like, forget these guys. I got to get out of here. But Jaden Daniels is that guy, So, I mean, hopefully it doesn't have too much of a negative impact. And I don't know. In terms of other offensive weapons, there's just not anybody. So before they signed Terry, I was just like, what even is this team going to do? They need to figure this out. It was just so confusing. That's more confusing to me than what the Cowboys did with Micah Parsons. Because Micah Parsons was being a little bit of a crybaby about it. Terry McLaurin is a professional. He's a grown-up. So I don't get it. All right. 13, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. Might seem kind of far down the list here for this duo with their handshakes, with their but you got to remember A.J. Brown was on the sideline reading the self-help book because he wants the game to be more about him. He wants their scheme to be more about him, and they want to win Super Bowls. They don't care about your feelings, A.J. Brown. They want to put up W's, so they're going to use Saquon Barkley. They're going to, Devonta Smith is probably going to end the year, honestly, with more targets, and I just have to put A.J. Brown here. I feel like I got an obligation, but if I'm being honest with you guys, I think Devonta Smith probably is number one wide receiver. A.J. Brown He's, I feel like he feels like he's owed his dues for the time he put in with the Titans. Like, he wants to get his numbers up, his figures up. He's trying to be a Pro Bowler. I think he's coming to the end-ish of his career, and I'm sure it was great for him to get that Super Bowl ring, but obviously he forgot and put himself first a little too much during the season. So we'll see if the bromance can stay alive. Jalen Hurts will continue doing what Jalen Hurts does, and this team is an extremely well-run team and franchise. The vibes aren't always, I would say the vibes aren't not toxic sometimes over there, but they win. So it's hard to argue with that. And Saquon will probably just absolutely beast on everybody again this year. I mean, that's what I really think will happen, and yeah, we'll see. And number 14, we have CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. So the Texans have a horrible O-line situation this year, just like they did last year. They said to everybody that they don't trust Nico Collins as much as you might think by drafting two, not one, but two rookie wide receivers. CJ Stroud is extremely talented with no offensive line, though. I don't know how he's going to get the ball off. You don't have Mixon anymore, so you don't really have true to form elite running backs. So it's like, what are you scheming for? Nick Chubb? No, you're going to scheme for Nico Collins. So it'll be tough to get those targets in. I have them this far down the list just because I wouldn't be that surprised if, because of the way the dump offs are going to work with no O-line and Stroud scrambling around, it's like I just wouldn't be that surprised if one of the rookies ends as the true to form wide receiver one on this team. I think they have a good defense. I don't know. It's not. I don't find them to be that exciting this year. It's gonna be mid-tier, 7-8 wins again, and we'll see. But Nico Collins, he's very talented. I'm not that impressed with what they have going on. And when Nico Collins was on the field at the same time as Diggs, which was like barely ever last year, I kind of didn't see him outshining Diggs that much, if I'm being honest. So we'll see. Maybe it'll end up being one of the rookies that really gets there, but I still have Collins projected right now, so we'll see how that goes. Now, if you want to talk about bromance, Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley, inside Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley's amazing bromance was this video I watched from this channel called MCA, a Tennessee Titans podcast. Guys, I used to live within biking distance to the Tennessee Titans stadium, and I don't understand why this franchise can't win more. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're not that poorly run. There's so much enthusiasm, positivity. Like, there's such good vibes. They just like can't put it together. And I think it's similar to Carolina and even Atlanta, where it's like in the South, it's college football all day. Like, it's like NFL, schminFL. Who cares? But in this case, there's this awesome thing where they asked Cam Ward, what's your superpower? And he said, I'm Calvin Ridley's sidekick. They asked Calvin Ridley, he said, I really like our quarterback. They just seem to be really vibing. Cam Ward is the first true to form rookie that I have on this list, right? So coming in at 15, right smack in the middle. Calvin Ridley, he got a season of rest because of, gambling. So even though he's a little bit older age-wise, his body has won fewer seasons of damage than other people in his same age. And I think this is his first real opportunity to put up numbers. I think he had Matt Ryan when he was on. I don't know. He just hasn't really had the best quarterback play, and I think he's super excited to have Cam Ward. Cam Ward super excited to have him. They have Tony Pollard, who you can't really give more than 24 carries in the game, where he'll absolutely break down. Tajay Spears was already out, so they don't really have a running game, and they don't really have anyone behind Calvin Ridley but Calvin Ridley. So the only downside is that defenses know exactly who to scheme for. And I don't know. Realistically, most receptions will probably go to Chigakonkwo because that's who's going to be open probably scheme-wise and check down and stuff. But we'll see. I'll watch this happen this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they draft an alpha wide receiver 1 next year because Calvin Ridley's probably better suited as a wide receiver 2 anyway. But yeah, it's exciting for me to see. And then number 16, someone that I put as my MVP. I put money on him being an MVP every year, guys. Justin Herbert. It's just that he always ends up having to play through these like horrific injuries, and he just plays through them. And then you look at his numbers, and they're still pretty good. So if he can actually stay healthy, it's like, we watched the first game. Tyrod Taylor's lung was punctured. He came in. He was playing at an elite NFL level from his first game ever. So I'm excited for more Justin Herbert. And then Lab McConkey. The only reason to have this duo so far down is they brought back Keenan Allen. There's uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty at the wide receiver position. You have a coach that's going to want to establish the run. You have good coaching, actually. Pretty well-run franchise. So they're going to spread the ball around. So I think Lab McConkey will end the year as wide receiver 1, but I do think he'll have a lot of competition for targets. It's going to be scheme heavy, scheme dependent. But yeah, I don't, they're not like a team I see is using the tight end too much, and we'll see what happens with the running back, but Hamden might, get a lot more checkdowns than we think. So I have them right here, smack in the middle at number 16. We're almost halfway through here, and we're coming in for number 17 is Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. What? They should be higher. No, they shouldn't, because I don't believe in Bo Nix that much. I'm maybe one of one that's like, I don't know. I actually saw Sean Payton pulling back on the reins a bit last year for Bo Nix and saying, like, you're going to hand the ball off more. He was a true to form rookie. He has a lot to learn, and I don't think Sean Payton has the kind of patience anymore in his age to truly, like, make a rookie or young quarterback, like, into an elite player. Like, I could just see Bo Nix completely breaking down this year under the pressure, and Payton being like, forget you. I mean, look what he did to Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson was for sure hitting a rough patch. He did not look good, but it was like, maybe you're just creating like a really toxic culture over here, dude. Cortland Sutton, every year he's a perennial where I'm like, surely he's like on his way out and not going to be productive this year. And then he just is. It's like Derrick Henry, but not Derrick Henry. It's really not fair to compare those two. But, I think Cortland Sutton's the clear wide receiver 1, have the most yards, have the most targets, probably have the most receptions. We'll see. They also are going to rely on their run game quite a bit. So, I thought them shipping off Vele was really telling of their trust in Marvin Mims, and then immediately Marvin Mims is injured. They have Troy Franklin. They're going to figure out certain ways to spread the ball, but I think Cortland Sutton, he's just clearly going to be the one. And we'll see if Bo Nix can actually perform the way everyone seems so convinced that he can. I just need one more season to see it. I need one more season. I don't think he's as good as everybody thinks. That's why that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, coming into the second half here, it's Tua and Jalen Waddle. Notice it is not Tyreek Hill for me. The Miami Dolphins, I think, are over Tyreek Hill's diva situation, and the uncertainty here actually is more about Tua and his health. If he takes one more bad hit, that's it. I think this franchise wants to believe in Tua, and are like, just like from like a human standpoint, it would be tough to like ship him off given everything he's been through, but he's very talented. Jalen Waddle, extremely talented. If both of them can stay healthy, this could really be jump way higher in the list here. I mean, definitely, I think they have much better chemistry than even Bryce Young and Tet will this year, but it's just a matter of what is this franchise going to be, how many games before Mike McDaniel is fired. I think it's awesome that he brought in Darren Waller, given they're both sober. I think that probably has a lot to do with why Darren Waller was brought there. Also, perfect scheme fit, right? He's a pass-catching tight end who can also block in 11 personnel. So if A-Chain isn't healthy, it's just going to be really hard to watch this team because they need their running game. But I do think pretty much no matter what, Jalen Waddle ends the year as their wide receiver 1. And it would be insane if Westbrook-Akine can, put up, 7-8 more touchdowns on a different franchise. It's like, well, it's kind of like how MVS always had a really good game 1 every year. It's just like those players where you're like, what is this anomaly? Like, what is happening? But yeah, so I have them kind of toward the back half, but I don't think Tyreek Hill is actually that much of a factor. He'll be great when he plays. That's that. All right, 19, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. It is not Travis Hunter for me. It is definitely Brian Thomas Jr. He's elite. In fact, he's probably as talented. He could go right there underneath Amon-Ra St. Brown in terms of talent. Like, this guy is so good. And here's the issue. Trevor Lawrence, another guy who can't just take a step, he has to take a leap this year. Trevor Lawrence, you have to prove yourself. You're in the same predicament as Kyler Murray, where like your franchise is so fatigued with you, and you clearly have it. So what is missing? What is going wrong? Obviously, spent a lot of last year injured, which led us to have to watch the worst person in the world play football, Mac Jones. Cannot stand you, Mac Jones. He's a big crybaby. Never seen a grown man kick more grown men in the balls than Mac Jones did. It's infuriating to me to watch him play. Such a crybaby. But Brian Thomas Jr. proved that he is that guy. He will do it again this year with Trevor Lawrence. He will do it even better considering Travis Hunter will be there to help spread the defense. They'll be pretty balanced, I think, with the run game. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see these two play and step up and actually have a full season together. Man, Trevor Lawrence, I want you to be good. So just like do your best. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. will lose too many targets to Travis Hunter or any of the other stuff that's gonna go on with the running backs. But again, another franchise is just a mess, man. Like, how many more seasons until they move these guys over to London? It's just, ugh, I don't know. All right, number 20. Here it is. My homer team, Drake May and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, yeah, 100%. I don't think he lost a step last year. I think obviously he got injured, but before he got injured, he was still that guy, and he can definitely be an alpha number one wide receiver. Stephon Diggs is not the question mark to me. I don't think he's going to have any issue beating out, Keyshawn Booty and who else is over there? Pop Douglas. It'll be great to have him stretch the field, but it's Stephon Diggs for wide receiver. Now, Drake May is actually my question mark, and that might be blasphemy to my fellow Patriots fans, but hear me out. He had a bit of a issue last year with holding on to the ball for too long. I'm not saying he had very long to make a decision because his line was so terrible, but that brings me to my other point, which is it takes more than 3 preseason games to fix the league's worst offensive line. They have a lot to go, including Will Campbell. So I don't think Drake May's problems are solved by adding, 1 or 2 pieces on the O-line. He's still, I even just went to the preseason game in person and watched him hold on to the ball for too long, try to scramble for too long. I'm not saying he's not talented, but I think he still has a lot to prove to me. I'm more so than Bryce Young. Maybe less so than Penix, but there's a question mark around Drake May. I still think he's the franchise guy. Don't get me wrong. It's just there's some stuff that's got to get worked out before I feel like this is an elite pairing. Also, don't think that Stephon Diggs is the guy next year. So it's like, how much can these two get done in one season? Excited to see. Number 21. Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. This is a little bit of a cloudy wide receiver room, and the only reason to have this pair, who clearly have so much bromance, who clearly have so much chemistry this low, is that Mike Evans is getting up there in age, and they've got this incredible rookie in Emeka Egbuka, and then you'll have Godwin come back. You'll have Jalen McMillan, who I thought looked really good last year, come back. And then you've got Bucky Irving, pass catching. You still have Rashad White. You have Sean Tucker, who I think will get a lot more touches this year. And Baker, who can and will probably be much more of a scramble threat this year than before. I think he wants it. He wants to win a championship. He has a dog in him. He's absolutely nuts. I love them as a pair. I think they're a great pair. But, will Mike Evans end the year with the most production, given he's healthy? Absolutely. With the rookies really solidifying themselves. It's just, now you have McMillan and Godwin both out for a number of weeks. And then Egbuka is a rookie. So if Evans has like a 6-game head start on everybody else for production, and he's never once been under 1,000 yards, I just don't see why this pair would fall all the way off. I just wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year is, the end of Mike Evans as what we would consider an elite wide receiver. But, here they are toward the back half. And we are toward the back half of this episode with Geno Smith and Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders. And you might be saying, wait, Mr. Footballhead, what about the Jacoby Myers trade rumors? Well, of course he wants to trade. He's not getting paid anything but like pocket lint and a couple nickels. And he's been on a number of dysfunctional teams with bad quarterbacks. But Geno Smith is not a bad quarterback. And Jacoby Myers, he's going to hit his bonuses, and I don't think they're going to trade him. I mean, you got 2 veteran journeymen who are getting paired up together, and as long as they get along and don't clash, which was really hard to find any information on that, Dante Thornton Jr., the rookie behind Jacoby, he's not it. Jack Besh, he might have some dog in him, but we haven't seen it yet, and it's Jacoby Myers. He's the number 1 guy, so I think it's a matter of Jacoby putting his ego aside for a second, and this is the other thing is, like, he's not an ego player, so it must be something else dysfunctional over there. Like, I don't know. I don't see either of these dudes as ego guys. They're both Belichick guys. They're both, do your job type guys who came out of that system. And maybe they're just sick of that. I don't know. But Geno, I think he'll have another good year. I do think Geno is a sure thing at quarterback. And I think Jacoby Myers is a sure thing. He's not wide receiver 1 talent. But it's hard right now for me to plant my flag in Dante Thornton. I'm not convinced. And of the two, Jacoby Myers or Thornton Jr. is still going to be Myers for me in terms of possession catch guy. He'll have for sure the most catches. He could get beat out in yards. And you got Ashton Genty. So you got, boxes are going to be stacked, and we'll see. I mean, maybe Myers will have his most touchdowns ever, and it'll be such a beautiful thing. All right, 15 minutes left on the clock here. And here he is, guys. Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's a sure thing. No doubt about Josh Allen being a sure thing here at 23. He's kind of the Michael Jordan of of the league, so makes sense. It's just, who is he throwing to? Is Khalil Shakir, who I have slated to get the most receptions and most yards and most production with Josh Allen? Is he actually going to be the guy? Well, they'll spread the ball. James Cook will have a bunch of receptions, and, Josh Allen will take it when no one else thinks it's humanly possible for him to do that. And Keon Coleman, he could end as the wide receiver one. But, crunch the numbers, it's probably Khalil Shakir. It's, Josh Palmer will for sure have like 2 50-yard bombs. That'll be awesome. But I don't know. I guess it's Shakir, since I have to choose, but this is an extremely good offense that'll spread the ball anyway. So really, it's kind of like, who cares? All right, and we're in the final 9 here. Extremely similar situation. Patrick Mahomes, he's a superstar. Who's he going to throw to? Well, I have Xavier Worthy slotted as his wide receiver 1 for the year. He's a weapon. I don't really think he's a wide receiver 1. I think he's a specialized weapon. But you have Rashee Rice missing, 6 games or whatever with a suspension. You have the aging Travis Kelce, who will still absolutely siphon some targets. We can't forget about Noah Gray, but everyone does. Noah Gray, he can step in and he'll be there, gobbling some stuff up. And you got other guys that'll take some targets. But at the end of the day, Xavier Worthy will be the wide receiver 1. Pacheco, I guess, is also going to be there, but it's a Patrick Mahomes team. It's a scheme team. It's an Andy Reid team. They will figure it out. They'll figure out how to win. It's like what they do. Their defense will be much better. And I guess Xavier Worthy will probably have a pretty good year. It's just, how predictable is it? And that's what makes them such a good team too, just like the Bills, where it's like you don't know who to scheme out because it's all situational. And the quarterback is a superstar. So these teams being in the middle here, don't get deceived. Like this speaks to truly how good they are. All right, number 25, a different situation. It's Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze under new coach Ben Johnson, who really had the Lions last year putting up crazy numbers. Rome Odunze, to me, already proved he's it. I think DJ Moore is just not it. I don't think DJ Moore has been it forever. I didn't believe in him in Carolina. So it's Caleb Williams. The reason for them to be this far down is Caleb Williams. I personally don't think that Caleb Williams needs to take a leap. I think he just needs to take incremental little baby steps. And if he can get a little better every game, then hold on to your hats, Chicago, because you guys are still 2-3 years out. You need him to evolve into the franchise quarterback that he will become. Rome Odunze, I think, it's him. I don't think Luther Burden's it. They don't really have any running backs. So here we go. It's just a matter of can defenses, is Rome Odunze good enough to be unscheme-outable, if you will? And I think maybe. I think they clearly have a lot of chemistry, as you can see here in the YouTube video. They hang out outside of just football, outside of just work, right? They're more than just colleagues. And I think as long as Caleb can kind of keep his cool and perform, which again, it's another one of those things, just like Bryce Young, when you're used to being the best everywhere you go, just like Marvin Harrison, even it takes some time to acclimate. So hopefully after his pretty, let's just call it what it is, disastrous rookie year, we'll see some steps being taken forward. All right, coming in at number 26, so we are in the home stretch here. A surprising one, I'm sure. I'm putting my flag in the ground and saying Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors will be the number 1 most productive dynamic duo on the New York Giants, not Jackson Dart, even though Dart will absolutely start many games. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's named the starter right now. This is a pretty uncertain situation. It's just, if Russell Wilson is in there, I think it's going to be hard for him to lose the job because he does the thing, he can do the moon ball. He's got job security. He's really smart. And if you can give Dart some time to develop, Like, if you can just wait, kind of like what they did with Drake May last year, if you can just wait and let Dart learn the playbook and get more comfortable, it's better in the long run. It's going to be better in the long run. I believe in Jackson Dart. I saw the combine of everyone in the combine. He looked the best by miles, and not just that, but the tape is there. I think I think Ward was great to go number 1 overall, but the tape is there for Dart. And he should play a year behind Russell Wilson. There's a reason he wasn't like traded up for or anything. He's good, but it's going to be a little bit. So Neighbors is obviously that guy. He's dominant. I wanted to put this duo up higher. It's just like as the preseason moved on, you just saw Dart like actually performing way better than expected in the preseason. So it's like, damn, I don't want to plant my flag and have him get bent, have Wilson get benched, before week 1, which could still happen. But, I don't think so. I think if they want to do what it takes to actually win, they'll do this. But I don't know, because if you can't lose your job, at some point you got to just throw a dart. All right. Sorry about that, football heads. Okay, 27. This is the Green Bay Packers here, and it's not a Jordan Love problem. Jordan Love is a sure thing. He's locked in. I think he's extremely talented quarterback. He's very fun to watch. He's got a little bit of a Dak Prescott thing, but like with, I think, more clutch, we'll see can he play in these high impact games and make stuff happen. We need to see it. We need to see a full season from him where he's healthy, and all the murkiness in the wide receiver room is why you have them down here at 27. Is it Jaden Reed? Well, I actually think it's going to be Romeo Doubs, but it's just like tough to say. So when Romeo Doubs was in for the 13 games he played, he had a 19.7% target share, whereas Jaden Reed, for his 17 games that he played, had a 17% target share. So when Doubs is in, if he's healthy, I think he's actually that guy. And we now just found out that Jaden Reed has this like, I forget what the fracture is in your foot that really sucks to have if you're a wide receiver or really anyone, but it's just, in terms of like, if I'm taking health out of the picture, I guess I still think that Jaden Reed is the most productive in terms of receptions and receiving yards at the end of the season. But I would not be surprised if Doubs is in there really vying for that number 1 spot, and if it's a little bit more neck and neck than we think. I'm also a little concerned about Josh Jacobs. We just are not talking about him that much. He did overperform last year, so I could see him underperforming this year. Just to say it out loud, since nobody else is. And, Christian Watson won't be held. I mean, just, they'll have a great defense. They have Micah Parsons now. It'll be a great all-around team. It's a very well-run franchise, very well-coached team. They'll spread the ball around too. But it's even murkier than it is for the Bills and the Chiefs. Okay, last couple here. Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall, I guess, for the San Francisco 49ers. I think it is Ricky Pearsall. I think if you really look at it and you think about who's there, Jawan Jennings is not a wide receiver 1. I don't know why he's being a crybaby and expecting to get paid like one. It's the same thing that Ayuk did. They didn't want to pay Ayuk. They made it pretty clear. And yet they did pay Ayuk, and now he's been injured the entire time since they did. They're not going to pay Jawan Jennings more money. They don't really need to. They're a run-first team. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have now Brian Thomas, who just came from being an RB1 on a very good playoff team. They have George freaking Kittle, So it's like, okay, Juwan, you don't want to play? Fine. We'll sign Kendrick Bourne. He'll come back. He'll be a 49er again. And Ricky Pearsall, survivor that he is, he'll be in the slot or whatever. I don't know. I mean, Pearsall, if they can scheme him up, I mean, he has to take steps forward too. And the other reason for them being so low here is, as great of a name as Brock Purdy is for a quarterback, I just don't know that he is always it. I don't even want to say that, because the guy behind him is, again, my least favorite person in the world in terms of football, and it's Mac Jones. And I want to believe that Kyle Shanahan, didn't sign him because that's who he actually wanted instead of Trey Lance. And now Mac Jones is going to beat Brock Purdy out for the start. Oh, God. I can't watch Mac Jones play anymore. But we might have to. And so it's just a very murky situation. If Christian McCaffrey goes down and they have to rely on the throwing game again, I wouldn't be that surprised if Mac Jones goes in and plays for the stinking 49ers. But we'll see what it is. We'll see if the bromance can develop. Here's my hottest take of the entire video, guys. It's Stetson Bennett and Puka Nacua for the Los Angeles Rams. That's right. It is not Matthew Stafford. That man is hurt. His back is injured. It's been injured for years. He's just been playing through it. And you can't be his age playing through a back injury and performing at an elite level for much longer. And I couldn't even believe he made it through the season last year. There's so many red flags, and Stetson Bennett has that dog in him. He's gotten the year under his belt of observing. He showed it in the preseason that he can do it. Obviously, I don't think they'll win a lot of games with him, but I think that when you have a true elite wide receiver one like Puka Nacua, who's up there for me with Brian Thomas, with Amon-Ra, where it's like, no, they're not Justin Jefferson, they're not Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb, but like so close. I mean, just like, holy crap, definitely wide receiver one elite tier players. I mean, I would love to see a number of games with Stetson Bennett and Puka Nacua. I think it would be super fun to watch. And I just don't, and I don't just have it here because I think it'll be fun to watch. I just don't think Stafford's going to make it. And you might be saying, Mr. Football Head, the QB situation actually has Jimmy Garoppolo as the next blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to play. Devontae Adams will retire on the spot if they try to put Jimmy Garoppolo in there, especially after what they saw with Bennett. No one wants to see Jimmy Garoppolo play anymore. As handsome as he is, I don't want to see this man play football ever again. I just don't see Matt Stafford making it. In terms of production, at the end of the season, when we crunch the numbers, let's not be surprised if the most productive duo on this team, if the bromance is Stetson Bennett, Puka Nacua. Let's just not be surprised. Let's just not be surprised if it happens. All right, here we go. Last three: Joe Flacco, Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, man, it's a mess over there. The real bromance is between Shedeur Sanders and Joe Flacco. It was a blessing to get to live in Baltimore the year that he won the Super Bowl there. He's a journeyman. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's not going to be the quarterback the whole year. He'll probably still be the most productive quarterback with Jerry Jeudy, who's extremely good and fun to watch. And this is a franchise that is just being run into the ground under the premise that we don't care how toxic you are as a human. If you can play football and play football well, we'll just sign you and hope for the best. So, I mean, and that's not, for what it's worth, because of all the hate, that's not a dig at Shedeur. I actually think he's totally fine. He just grew up very, very privileged, but that's not the point. I think, Quinshon Judkins, you obviously still have Watson. There's just like so much mess in this franchise, and they're just, who even knows who the running back is going to, Jerome Ford, really? I don't know. I think Jerry Jeudy will have another very productive year, and it'll be especially productive if Joe Flacco is their quarterback. Second to last, but second to not least, is Spencer Rattler and Chris Olave. Chris Olave is different. That's a quote from Spencer Rattler. I had my shot called on this in June. I said it'll be Spencer Rattler. They drafted Tyler Shough to be the backup quarterback. He's the same age as Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is the young talent they were looking for. They just needed him to have a little bit of competition. He thrives under it. He's been playing at an elite level his entire life. It's not going to be any different. It's just he needed some time to develop. That's what I think. I don't think they benched Spencer Rattler for Tyler Shough. I think Shough is bad also. But Chris Olave, I think he's him. I don't think he's a wide receiver one, but he's extremely good. I think he's proven. I like drafting him in fantasy. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Rashid Shaheed also has a chance to be good, because what the hell are they going to do at running back? Alvin Kamara is one bad day away from saying, I can't do this anymore. This franchise, again, like all these other Southern teams, they just don't win football games. I don't know what it is. I really think it's the college of it all. But I think Spencer Rattler could be better than expected. I don't think he'll be good, but I think he'll be better than expected. It will be more fun to watch him play than it will be to watch this final franchise, and that's it's the stinking Indianapolis Colts, my least favorite franchise, and I don't have them last just because I can't stand them. It's because we have to watch Daniel Jones play again. I don't want to do it. I have the last place bromance as Daniel Jones and the turf, because that's who he's going to be throwing to the most. I cannot stand watching him play. It's awful. It's like he thinks he has that dog in him, but he's just like overly aggressive in a way that his athleticism does not match up with. He's got the dog in him in a bad way, where it's like you're not capable of doing what you think you're capable of doing. And it's just another year of watching him play. I can't do it. So in my last 30 seconds, I will say this was the first version of the slide I put together before they announced that they would start Daniel Jones and never Anthony Richardson, in air quotes. I thought Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs were the bromance to watch, but then upon digging further, I found these pictures of Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman wearing Photoshop stepbrothers shirts of each other's faces. And so you just have to know that this exists and that they wore matching outfits one day and that they love each other so much. And they're going to fire the coaching staff by the end of, week 6 is generous, but let's say well before week 7. Anthony Richardson will probably be back in there because the coaching staff will be gone, and whoever is next as interim will be like, well, let's just see what Richardson can do. And also, we don't want Pittman to rage quit. We don't want Downs to rage quit. We don't want Jonathan Taylor to rage quit. So this franchise, I'm begging you guys, do the right thing. I'm not saying Richardson is good. I think he's garbage, but he has a chance to be more fun to watch than Daniel Jones. It's just bad. I don't know. Who even cares? Okay, thank you so much for watching the first ever episode of Football Head. This is the Football Head Show. We'll be coming back with more content. We're so close to the season. Thank you so much. And hey, go get them. Go get them, guys.